Hello and good afternoon. This is my September 15th update for my garden. Last weekend I ended up harvesting the rest of my sweet corn, and if you watch my video on the corn later, you will notice that 5 out of several dozen cobs got moldy. Because I didn't want to risk the corn getting any moldier, I ended up harvesting the rest. All that's left here are the tiny late cobs on the stalks and the male tassels, along with the remaining bean pods. In the meantime, I've been harvesting the beans gradually that are growing here. I only got a few dozen pods already, not really much. Other than that, bean yields have been pretty low, probably due to elevated bean beetle pressure, but I'm not certain. If I grow these again next year and get better results, then I know this probably is bean beetle damage. And underneath is the squash vines continuing to die out, more pressure from powdery mildew. Here's the one pumpkin that actually got matured. It's kind of pathetic, doesn't feel more than a pound. Maybe less than a kilogram even. Right here, there's still that green bit there. I checked my records and it looks like I pollinated it on last month on August the 17th. So I could wait a couple more days before harvesting the pumpkin, just to make sure. I'm hoping that I get viable seeds from this fruit. And also, best results, I am hoping that the pumpkin has more flavor to it than just a watery taste to it. I remember last year I found some volunteer pumpkins from a different volunteer pumpkins, not the ones that I found in Steubenville. I found them growing on an abandoned house and picked them and saved the seeds. Unfortunately, that pumpkin had watery flesh, but it looked promising because of its ability to yield fruits without being babied like I did with my pumpkins this year. Hoping if this pumpkin doesn't have much better flavored flesh than the other volunteer pumpkin I found, then I could go ahead and combine the to develop a land race gradually. What are you doing, Daddy Longlegs? Sorry. And let's go ahead and look at the other beds. Now, I was a bit surprised to look at the shape of these pods. This is the other variety of bean that my neighbor gave me to grow. And I was curious, I'd never seen a bean with these tiny curved, highly curved pods before. I did some reading. Apparently it's called a hyacinth bean or lob bean. The preparation method for cooking these is significantly different than for cowpeas or for regular kidney beans. Based on what I read, these are usually picked green, like right before they turn brown. Then the beans are soaked for 24 hours and the outer hull of the bean is removed. Because I haven't found any tutorials on using the beans fully dry yet, I'm gonna probably try and harvest as many of these pods right when they are almost mature and freeze them like green peas. I'm hoping that I can find a tutorial on how to cook lob, the hyacinth bean, when it is fully mature and dry. So far, no luck yet. If anybody is watching this and knows the answer, please let me know. As for the cowpeas, I've been continuing to harvest pods, and the plant is starting to decline and dry out anytime. I have already half of a 1 cup jar of these cowpeas already, So I might have enough for maybe one serving. I'll maybe take a small amount of the bean sprouts and taste them that way. Otherwise, I'll just save maybe about 60 or so of the seeds for beans for seed next year. And if you saw last time, here's the lamb's quarters. It is flowering nicely. So I wouldn't be surprised if it were had fully mature seed by the middle of October. I'm continuing to keep an eye on the plant though. Usually the seed doesn't ripen until after a frost. By then the seed heads become loose and they fall off. Apologize for the airplane overhead. I live next to an airport. And right here is my early lettuce. It is finally starting to get bigger, but looks stunted compared to my mustard. I have no idea what's going on with the lettuce. Right here, of course, some weedy dandelion, but at least dandelion's edible. Over here is my earlier mustard. I have been continuing to harvest it and eat the greens. If you saw an earlier video, I did a video on how to saute mustard greens. But they can also be steamed like broccoli if you don't want to go through the sauteing process. Usually the steaming can be faster. And actually, let's go see the other bed next to the asparagus. I'll show that to you in a bit. I don't know if I've already mentioned it, but in this area right here, I am growing wild radishes. Now, interestingly enough, the top greens of the cultivated radish are actually edible. They can be eaten like regular mustard greens, or if you pick the greens early, they can be served in a salad as if they were arugula. Speaking of which, right here is some arugula. It is finally ready to harvest, and looky here. It is the dreaded European cabbage moth, no, European cabbage butterfly caterpillar. Pick that off and go ahead and smash on the ground. I've had moderate predation from the cabbage butterfly. Nothing really bad, but I wouldn't be surprised if one day I come out here and the plants are completely devoured. That has happened in the past, so I've been keeping an eye on these plants. I'm a little hesitant on spraying the BT bacterium on the plants because right next to the mustard are my carrots, and there are native black swallowtail caterpillars here. I don't see them right now, but they may have already pupated. Let's see if I can find one. Interesting. They may be hiding right now. But anyway, there are black swallowtail caterpillars that like to feed on the carrots, and I didn't want to kill them by possible contamination if I sprayed and the wind picked up the bacteria over to the caterpillars. Now, as for the state of the carrots here, because I planted them in July, August, September, they should be ready to harvest next month. But I want to overwinter a few of the carrots. I'll do some reading on how to overwinter carrot roots. Although Queen Anne's lace seems to do fine in the ground overwinter in Ohio. I don't know about its cultivated cousin because I've had bad experience where the carrot roots get completely destroyed by a hard frost. So I might have to either heavily mulch the carrots or bury them in damp sand inside my garage. So that's the carrots and my later mustard. And let me move on to the beans. Before I show the bed with the sunflowers and the pole beans, I just want to mention here the Rosontle is setting flower, just like the lamb's quarters that I showed earlier, which is good news. And I'll keep an eye on the Rosontle, and hopefully I get enough seed to plant again next year, and hopefully even maybe enough to cook like quinoa. Another plant I did not show again was the vining Roma tomato, or indeterminate Roma tomato here. I have already harvested 3 fruits from the plants. And good thing is, unlike other Roma tomatoes I've seen, I don't see any signs of blossom end rot here, even with the water stress. That it's good news. I am hoping this is not an F1 hybrid, so I get true to seed tomatoes. If anyone knows of any hybrid paste tomatoes, please let me know in the comments, because I'd like to know if what I got here is an improved hybrid, or maybe if it's an open pollinated variety of paste tomato or Roma tomato. Okay, and let's go ahead and look at the sunflowers and the beans. As far as bean harvests have gone past years, this Kentucky cornfield bean isn't yielding as well as other varieties I have in the past, but I'm not growing it in the same soil I usually do. That could be a different variable changing the yields. In the meantime, the sunflowers are dropping off their lower leaves and starting to decline. But the beans, they've been drying out gradually. I've been picking them. Compared to the bean plants that were growing underneath the corn, these beans growing underneath the sunflowers are actually yielding much better and don't have nearly as much bean beetle pressure on them. They still have poor yields compared to other years I've grown whole beans. So I don't know if I want to grow this variety again. I'm hoping if I finally get my garden soil back and grow the beans again in my usual soil, I can get better yields than I did this year. And as last time, the sunflowers have no signs of any birds feeding on them or squirrel damage. I have no idea what's going on. And there is a house finch right next to me right here. Hello, house finch. He's feeding on some safflower seeds. Now, unlike house sparrows, house finches are actually native to North America. They came from the desert southwest, and I guess spread here accidentally because they were introduced to New York as Hollywood finches. They are a lot more docile than house sparrows, and they don't aggressively attack native birds the same way. They seem to feed on the same foods as house sparrows, but at least they don't kill bluebirds and peck out their brains. That was the garden. Sorry for the segue on the house finch there. And hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next week. And goodbye.